Hello, forever friends and family. I would like to welcome everybody to webinar number 7, Think and Grow Rich. Today is Monday, November 27th, last Monday of November. My name is Alex Tunitsky and I'm organizer of this webinar. The cover of the book is on your screen. Let's move forward. What do you want most? Is it money, fame, power, contentment, personality, peace of mind, happiness? The 13 steps to riches described in this book offer the shortest dependable philosophy of individual achievement ever presented for the benefit of the man or woman who is searching for the definite goal in life. Before beginning the book, you will profit greatly if you recognize the fact that the book was not written to entertain. You cannot digest the content properly in a week or months. After reading the book through, Dr. Miller Reese Hutchinson, nationally known consultant engineer and a longtime associate of Thomas A. Edison, said, "This is not a novel. It's a textbook on individual achievement that came directly from the experiences of hundreds of America's most successful men." Now we're going to continue to read when we start last time. Give me a second to scroll the pages. And I would like to continue to read my friend and partner from Brooklyn, Supervisor Isaac Gilbinovich. Isaac, please proceed right here on the red color.
Good evening, everybody. Four men pondered over these figures all night. The chief, of course, was Morgan, steadfast in his belief in the divine right of money. With him was his aristocratic partner, Robert Bacon, and scholar and a gentleman. The third was John W. Gates, uh, whom Morgan scorned as gambler and used as a tool. The fourth was Schwab, who knew more about the process of making and selling steel than any whole group of men then living. Throughout that conference, the Pittsburgh's figures were never questioned. If he said a company was worth so much, then it was worth that much and no more. He was insistent too upon including in the combination only those concerns he nominated. He had convinced a corporation in which there would be no duplication, not even to satisfy the greed of friends who wanted to unload their companies upon the broad Morgan shoulders. Thus, he left out by design a number of the larger concerns about which the Walrusen, walruses and carpenters of Wall Street had cast hungry eyes. When dawn came, Morgan rose and straightened his back. Only one question remained. Do you think you can persuade Andrew Carnegie to sell? He asked. I can try, said Schwab. If you can get him to sell, I will undertake the matter, said Morgan. So far, so good. But would Carnegie sell? How much would he demand? Schwab thought about 320 million. What would he take payment in? Common or preferred stock, bonds, cash? Nobody could raise a third of $1 billion in cash. There was a golf game in January on the front cracking head of the St. Andrews Links in Westchester, with Andrew bundled up in sweaters against the cold, and Charlie taking wobbly as usual to keep his spirits up. But no word of business was mentioned until the pair sat down in the cozy warmth of the Carnegie cottage hard by. Then, with the same persuasiveness that had hypnotized 80 millionaires at the University Club, Schwab poured out the glittering promises of retirement in comfort, of untold millions to satisfy the old man's social caprices. Carnegie capitulated, hauled a figure on a slip of paper, handed it to Schwab, and said, "All right, that's what we'll sell for." The figure was approximately 400 million and was richly by taking the 320 million mentioned by Schwab as a basic figure and adding to it 80 million to represent the increased capital value over the previous 2 years. Later, on a deck of transatlantic liner, the Scotsman said roughly to Morgan, "I wish I had asked you for 100 million more." If you had asked for it, you'd have gotten it, Morgan told him cheerfully. There was an uproar, of course. A British correspondent cabled that the foreign steel world was appalled by the gigantic combination. President Hagley of Yale declared that unless trusts were regulated, the country might expect an emperor in Washington within the next 25 years. But that able stock manipulator, Keene, went at his work of showing the new stock at the public so vigorously that all the excess water estimated by some at nearly 600 million was absorbed in a twinkling. So Carnegie had his millions, and the Morgan syndicate the 62 million for all its trouble. And all the boys, from Gates to Gary, had their millions. The 38-years old Schwab had his reward. He was made president of the new corporation and remained in control until 1930. The dramatic story of big business, which you have just finished, was included in this book because it is a perfect illustration of the method by which desire can be transmuted into its physical equivalent. I imagine some readers will question the statement that a mere intangible desire can be converted into its physical equivalent. Doubtless, some will say, you cannot convert nothing into something. The answer is in the story of United States Steel. That giant organization was created in the mind of one man. The plan by which the organization was provided with the steel mills that gave it financial stability was created in the mind of the same man. His faith, his desire, his imagination, his persistence were the real ingredients that went into United States Steel. The steel mills and mechanical equipment acquired by the corporation after it had been brought into legal existence were, were incidental, but careful analysis will disclose the fact that the appraised value of the properties acquired by the corporation increased in value by estimated $600 million by the mere transactions which consolidated them under one management. In other words, Charles M. Schwab idea, plus the faith which he conveyed it to the minds of J.P. Morgan and the others, was marketed for a profit of approximately 600 million, not an insignificant sum for a single idea. What happened to some of the men who took their share of the millions of dollars of profit made by this transaction is a matter with which we are not now concerned. The important feature of the astounding achievement is that it served as unquestionable evidence of the soundness of the philosophy described in this book, because the philosophy was the warp and the woof of the entire transaction. Moreover, the, practic- the practicability of the philosophy has been established by the fact that the United States Steel Corporation prospered and became one of the richest and most powerful corporation in America, employing thousands of people, developing new uses for steel and opening new markets, thus providing that 600 million in profit which the Schwab idea produced was earned. Riches being in the form of thought. The amount is limited only by the person in whose mind the thought is put into motion. Faith removes limitations. Remember, this when you are ready to bargain with life for whatever it is that you ask for your price for having passed this way. Remember also that the man who created the United States Steel Corporation was practically unknown at the time. He was merely Andrew Carnegie, Man Friday, until he gave birth to his famous idea. After that, he quickly rose to a position of power, fame, and riches. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. Or a suggestion. The medium for influencing the subconscious mind, the third step toward riches. Autosuggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions and all self administered stimuli which reach one's mind through the five senses. Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self suggestion. It is the agency of communication between the part of the mind where conscious thought takes place and that which serve as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. Through the domination, through the dominating thought which one permits to remain in the conscious mind, where these thoughts be negative or positive, in, is immaterial. The principle of autosuggestion voluntarily reaches the subconscious mind and influences it with these thoughts. Autosuggestion, no thought, whether it be negative or positive, can enter the subconscious mind without the aid of the principle of autosuggestion, with the exception of thought picked up from the ether. Stated differently, all sense impre- impressions which are perceived through the five senses are stored by the conscious thinking mind and may be either passed on to the subconscious mind or rejected at will. The conscious faculty serves, therefore, as an outer guard to the approach of the subconscious. Nature has so built man that he has absolute control over the material which reaches his subconscious mind through his five senses, although this is not meant to be constructed as a statement that man always exercises this control. In the great majority of instances, he does not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. Recall what has been said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden spot in which weeds will grow in abundance if the seeds of more desirable crops are not sown therein. Is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature, or by neglect permit those of the destructive nature to find their way into his rich garden of the mind. You are instructed in the last of the six steps described in the chapter of desire to read aloud twice daily the written statement of your desire of money and to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. By following these instructions, you communicate the object of your desire directly to your subconscious mind in a spirit of absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create thought habits which are favorable to your effort to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Go back to the 6 steps described in chapter 2 and read them again very carefully before you proceed further. Then, when you come to it, read very carefully the 4 instructions for the organization of your mastermind group, described in the chapter of organized planning. By comparing these 2 sets of instructions with that which has been stated on our suggestion, you, of course, will see that the instructions improve the application of the principle of autosuggestion. Remember, therefore, when reading aloud the statement of your desire, through which you are endeavoring to develop a money consciousness, that the mere reading of the word is of no consequence unless you mix emotion or feeling with your words. If you repeat a million times the famous Emil Co formula day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better, without mixing emotions and faith with your words, you will experience no desirable results. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts upon only thoughts which have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. This is a fact of such importance as to warrant repetition in particularly every chapter, because the lack of understanding of this is the main reason the majority of people who try to apply the principle of autosuggestion get no desirable results. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You will get no appreciable results until you learn to reach your subconscious mind with thoughts or spoken words which have been well emotionalized with belief. Do not become discouraged. If you cannot control and direct your emotion the first time you try to do so, remember there is no such possibility as something for nothing. Ability to reach and influence your subconscious mind has its price, and you must pay this price. You cannot cheat even if you desire to do so. The price of ability to influence your subconscious mind is everlasting persistence in applying the principles described here. You cannot develop the desired ability for a lower price. You and you alone must desire whether or not the reward for which you are striving, the money consciousness, is worth the price you must pay for it in effort. Wisdom and cleverness alone will not attract and retain money except in a few very rare instances where the law of averages favors the attraction of money through these sources. The method of attracting money described here does not depend upon the law of averages. Moreover, the method places no favorites. It will work for one person as effectively as it will for another. Where failure is experienced, it is the individual, not the method, which has failed. If you try and fail, make another effort, and still another, until you succeed.
Isaac,
Your
thank
ability.
you very much for your reading. Please take a break. Thank you again, and I would like us continue to read friend and partner from Brooklyn, assistant supervisor, Zoya Sergey. Zoya, please go ahead.
Good evening, dear forever friends. Your ability to use the principle of autosuggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. When you begin to carry out the instructions in connection with the 6 steps described in the 2nd chapter, it will be necessary for you to make use of the principle of concentration. Let us here offer suggestions for the effective use of concentration. When you begin to carry out the first of the 6 steps, which instructs you to fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire, hold your thoughts on that amount of money by concentration or fixation of attention, with your eyes closed, until you can actually see the physical appearance of the money. Do this at least once each day. As you go through these exercises, follow the instructions given in the chapter of faith and see yourself actually in possession of the money. Here is a most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any orders given it in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over again through repetition before they're interpreted by the subconscious mind. Following the preceding statement, consider the possibility of playing a perfectly legitimate trick on your subconscious mind by making it believe, because you believe it, that you must have the amount of money you're visualizing, that this money is already awaiting your claim, that the subconscious mind must hand over to you practical plans for acquiring the money which is yours. Hand over the thought suggested in the preceding paragraph to your imagination and see what your imagination can or will do to create practical plans for the accumulation of money through transmutation of your desire. Do not wait for a definite plan through which you intend to exchange services or merchandise in return for the money you are visualizing. But begin at once to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding and expecting, meanwhile, that your subconscious mind will hand over the plan or plan you need. Be on the alert for these plans, and when they appear, put them into action immediately. When the plans appear, they will probably flash into your mind through the 6th sense in the form of an inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct telegram or message from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Failure to do this will be fatal to your success. In the 4th of the 6 steps, you were instructed to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin it once to put this plan into action. You should follow this instruction in the manner described in the preceding paragraph. Do not trust to your reason when creating your plan for accumulating money through the transmutation of desire. Your reason is faulty. Moreover, your reasoning faculty may be lazy, and if you depend entirely upon it to serve you, it may disappoint you. When visualizing the money you intend to accumulate with closed eyes, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. This is important. Summary of instructions. The fact that you are reading this book is an indication that you earnestly seek knowledge. It is also an indication that you are a student of this subject. If you are only a student, there is a chance that you may learn much that you did not know. But you will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. If you choose to follow some of the instructions but neglect or refuse to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith. The instructions given in connection with the 6 steps
Zoe,
in
I'm
the
sorry for interruption, Zoe. Please forgive me. I just would like to read last section again. I would like to read it and rephrase it on my own. So please forgive me for interruption and everybody else again. Summary of instructions. The fact that you are joining this webinar is an indication that you are honestly seek knowledge.
Yes.
That's it. I rephrase it from reading this book to joining this webinar. I just would like to welcome again everybody who joined us today and remind that these all webinars are recorded, and if somebody missed any part of this reading or webinar, you could go to YouTube channel and review it as many times as you wish to. Please go ahead, continue, Zoe.
So to get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith. The instructions given in connection with the 6 steps in the 2nd chapter will now be summarized and blended with the principles covered by this chapter as follows. First, go into some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat aloud, so you may hear your own words, the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, the time limit for its accumulation, and a description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for the money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $50,000 by the 1st of January, 5 years hence, that you intend to give personal services in return for the money. In the capacity of a salesman, your written statement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the 1st day of January 19-something, I will have in my possession $50,000, which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service in which I am capable, rendering the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in the capacity of salesman of describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service, I intend to render in return for it. I'm awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it is received. Second, repeat this program night and morning until you can see in your imagination the money you intend to accumulate. Third, place a written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning and read it just before retiring upon arising until it has been memorized. Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you applied the principle of autosuggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember also that your subconscious mind will act only upon instructions which are emotionalized and handed over to it with feeling. Faith is the strongest and the most productive of the emotion. Follow the instructions given in the chapter of faith. These instructions may at first seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions no matter how abstract or impractical they may at first appear to you. The time will soon come, if you do as you have been instructed, in spirit as well as in act, when a whole new universe of power will unfold to you. Skepticism in connection with all new ideas is characteristic of all human beings. But if you follow the instructions outlined, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief, and this in turn will soon become crystallized in absolute faith. When you will have arrived at the point where you may truly say, I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. Many philosophers have made the statement that man is the master of his own earthly destiny, but most of them have failed to say why he is the master. The reason that man may be the master of his own earthly status is especially his financial status is thoroughly explained in this chapter. Man may become the master of himself and of his environment because he has the power to influence his own subconscious mind, and through it gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence. You are now reading the chapter which represents the keystone to the arch of this philosophy. The instructions contained in this chapter must be understood and applied with persistence if you succeed in transmuting desire into money. The actual performance of transmuting desire into money involves the use of autosuggestion as an agency by which one may reach and influence the subconscious mind. The other principles are simply tools with which to apply autosuggestion. Keep this thought in mind, and you will, at all times, be conscious of the important part of the principle of autosuggestion is to play in your effort to accumulate money through methods described in this book. Carry out these instructions as though you were a small child. Inject into your effort something of the faith of a child. The author has been most careful to see that no impractical instructions were included because of his sincere desire to be helpful. After you have read the entire book, come back to this chapter and follow in spirit and in action this instruction. Read the entire chapter aloud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound, that it will accomplish for you all that has been claimed for it. As you read, underscore with a pencil every sentence which impresses you favorably. Follow the foregoing instruction to the letter, and it will open the way of a complete understanding and mastery of the principles of success. Specialized knowledge. Personal experiences or observations, the fourth step toward riches. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is specialized. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is of but little use in accumulation of money. The faculties of the great universities possess in the aggregate practically every form of general knowledge known to civilization. Most of the professors have but little or no money. They specialize on teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. This missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today may be found in the failure of educational instructions to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford had but little schooling and he is not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not know Henry Ford, nor do they understand the real meaning of the word educate. That word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Henry Ford comes well within the meaning of this definition. During the World War, a Chicago newspaper published certain editorials in which, among other statements, Henry Ford was called an ignorant pacifist. Mr. Ford objected to the statements, and brought suit against the paper for libeling him. When the suit was tried in the courts, the attorneys for the paper pleaded justification and placed Mr. Ford himself on the witness stand for the purpose of proving to the jury that he was ignorant. The attorneys asked Mr. Ford a great variety of questions, all of them intended to prove by his own evidence that while he might possess considerable specialized knowledge pertaining to the manufacture of automobiles, he was in the main ignorant. Mr. Ford was plied with such questions as the following: who was Benedict Arnold? And how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? In answer to the last question, Mr. Ford replied, I do not know the exact number of soldiers the British sent over, but I have heard that it was a considerably larger number than ever went back. Finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line of questioning, and in reply to a particularly offensive question, he leaned over, pointed his finger at the lawyer who had asked the question, and said, if I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I'm devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? There certainly was good logic to that reply. That answer floored the lawyers. Every person in the courtroom realized it was the answer not of an ignorant man, but of a man of education. Any man is educated who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it, and how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. Through the assistance of his mastermind group, Henry Ford had at his command all the specialized knowledge he needed to enable him to become one of the wealthiest men in America. It was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. Surely, no person who has sufficient inclination and intelligence to read a book of this nature can possibly miss the significance of this illustration.
Zoe, thank you very kindly for your reading. We're going to stop here because we read a lot of information today. And I just would like to say again that this webinar is recorded and everybody could go to YouTube channel and review as many times as you wish to. And I prepare some surprise for everybody today. Follow Rex's advice to have fun doing FLP business. Give me a second, please. What did you see on the screen?
The
book.
page we were reading.
Okay, I see. I realize it. Hold on for a second,
There
please.
was a sound, but no video.
It was what, Isaac?
There was audio, but no video.
Okay, I understand. Okay, hold on, please. How about what do you see now?
The same. Page. No,
Now you see Gaudi?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, let's move forward. Okay. we just complete our trip to Barcelona and to watch buildings and structure built by Gaudi. I hope you like it.
We loved it. They're amazing.
Impressive, my God.
You see,
And that
Gaudi was
picture where we can see these incredible, very ancient buildings and the buildings of nowadays time. It's very impressive. Do you remember that picture? Where the contrast of those plain buildings where people live and these structures that go into sky.
But this structure is 566 feet or 172 meters. It's not completed yet.
Oh,
it's Sagrada
His-
Familia.
Sagrada Familia, yes. He started to build this in 1882 when he was 30 years old. And it's planned to accomplish this in 2040, 2040. So in like 17 years from now.
See, Gaudi was the genius architect who did not believe in straight angles. He has no straight angles. Everything is kind of floating. One thing's floating to another, and it's amazing. Especially Park Whale, it's absolutely out of this world.
wow. Feminine energy. No angles.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you very much, readers. Isaac and Zoya, thank you, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks a lot. Have a blessing week.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.